Welcome to Tell Me a Story, Season 2. My name's Adina Samuels, and I'm inviting anyone and everyone to share their stories with me. Let's see what we get. Today, I had the privilege of chatting with Shye Klein, Toronto native who found himself at the Nova Festival in southern Israel on October 7th, 2023. He shares his experience of what got him there, what happened the day of, and what came next. This episode speaks for itself. Listen in now. Shye, welcome to Tell Me a Story. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. So before we dive into your story, I'd love if you could just share a little more about yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, for sure. So I am a 28-year-old first generation Canadian. So me and my brother are the first ones in our family to be born here. My father, his family are like American or something like that. So my mom's side of the family, Israeli. They all live in Israel in the Middle East. And I hadn't visited them very much. So about 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago, I moved to Israel in 2023 in April to be closer to my grandparents because they're in their late 80s and I love them dearly, but I haven't seen them a whole much. And I went to Israel for about a month. I said to myself, a month is like a good amount of time to see my grandparents, to see my family, to enjoy the Middle East and be away from the cold Canada. And so I went to Israel, stayed at my cousin's for way too long on his sofa. And the second day I'm there, after I arrive and after my cousin's roommate picks me up, he says, "Okay, I'm having a party. You're sleeping at my sofa, so you're going to be part of it. You don't have a choice." And I'm like, shit, okay. He has this house party. It's like him, his girlfriend, his roommate who's living with us. And now they're all my friends. Met my entire friend group in a single night, 24 hours after I land. Really lucky.
Amazing. Okay, so you find yourself in Israel, you've got a new friend group, and I assume this is kind of where your story starts. So, as you know, Shye, on this podcast, you come on with a story. Tell me yours.
So my cousin has this party. I meet all my friends, and then that's that. About a week and a half, 2 weeks in, right before the end of my month-long trip in Israel, I arrive April 27th. I'm leaving end of May. I think to myself, I have family here. I have my cousin here. He's got a huge sofa. Maybe I'm just not going to go back to Canada. Why not? It's the worst that can happen. So I can't. I freeze my flight ticket home. I don't cancel it. I'm Jewish. I'm too cheap to cancel a ticket home. But if you fly Air Canada, you can do this thing called freezing a ticket, and you can basically pay $100, and you can use that ticket at any point in the year. For me, that's awesome. That's a 1-year trial of living in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't like it at any point, I can pay $100 and tap out. Stay for a year, see how I like it, go back home, or stay. I don't know. And so I stayed. And I started working. At first, I worked in some fancy restaurant, which was way too intense for me. And then I'm like, okay, I'll just work in a hostel. And then I'm doing everything you do in Israel. You go to I went to my first party, my first techno, my first rave, my first time going to the Dead Sea over the age of 18. That was nice. Specifically the parties. I'm getting into the scene that I wasn't new to before. And I learned my cousin, his neighbor upstairs, is a producer. He and his buddies, they throw these huge parties in Israel like every year. It's all they do. And so he comes down to my cousin's, and this is like in September. And he says, we're having this party. It's a mystery, the location. We're not going to tell you. Shh. And you guys should come. We want you there. He's really close friends with my cousin because they're neighbors, and I guess they were in the army together or something like that. And his neighbor says, "I'll give you guys a discount." My cousin, he gave free tickets to him and his girlfriend, now his wife. But us, he gave a discount. 60 shekels. That was the discount.
Okay, not
I'm
bad.
pretty sure we still paid like 320 shekels. It was a lot. So he gives us this discount, tells us the date of the party, October 7th, 2023. somewhere in Israel. They don't announce the location until super last minute for a few reasons. One of them is security, obviously. So we accept. We say, yeah, we'll go. And we try to get a lot of friends to join us. My cousin, he makes a whole group chat. He invites like 50, 60 people. We're supposed to be 50. Tentative, yes. We're supposed to all go on a bus together. And eventually, just life, people flake out, people have other plans, a wedding here, a bachelor party there, someone dies here, whatever. So from 50 in one bus, all going together, it's eight. It's my cousin, his girlfriend, and then a bunch of mutual friends. And then two of our friends who are also going, they had told us preemptively, like, they'll be there before us because this is an overnight thing. So they're going to pick out a camp spot for us. Nice area in the woods. And they'll meet us there. So that leaves only two people who can drive, my cousin and my friend Doraz. So my cousin goes to the festival. We were at a friend's birthday party. Her birthday is October 7th. So my cousin drives down. We leave her birthday. We say goodbye. We celebrate until midnight. Go to the festival. And me and Doraz are driving together. This is my first time meeting Doraz. He doesn't even speak English. So we're just like, hey, what song do you listen to? And just trading music back and forth on the 55-minute drive there. Oh, I like this band. You know this band? They're Canadian. You don't know them. Stuff like that. So we
Yeah.
get to the festival about 2 a.m. It's like a 55-minute drive when you're going in the middle of the night and there's no traffic. It's not a terrible drive, and it was really nice. And we stop at the gas station in Kfar Aza on the way to get snacks and to fill up gas, which was, wow, what a good idea to fill up gas on the way there. And so we get there and we drive up the dirt path towards the parking lot, which was just a patch of dusty ground where the first guy put his car. And that's where the parking lot was, where the first guy put his car. So we just parked amongst the trees and the shrubs. And then you see there's like a small forest of eucalyptus trees. And then we see the ticket booths and we see huge lineup, all these people, but no one looks like they're in a rush. Everyone's smiling and laughing and just schmoozing and talking to each other, waiting to go through the security and get their bags checked because we're arriving there at like 2 a.m. and we all know this thing ends the next day at like 4 in the afternoon. We have a long time. There's so much time. So we're like, we're not worried. No one's in a rush. We all know we'll get in eventually. And we get our bags checked, and there's security there, and they have, some of the security has handguns, and some of them have rifles, and then there's security that's like unarmed, so they're probably just there to make sure we don't steal or beat each other up. Makes sense. And we get our wristbands. My cousin gets his free tickets, and we're all jealous. And we make our way into the festival, and so we're looking for our friends. And there's so many people, but it looks like, wow, what a vibe! Super dark, middle of the night, all these eucalyptus trees with like the same string lights you have behind you on the ceiling, lighting up the whole woods. And it's
Mm.
really cool. And you see everybody, and everybody's smiling and laughing and joking and smoking and hugging and kissing and dancing. And we eventually find our friends, and they're way off in the back. They like picked up the spot in the back ass corner of the camping area. And we settled down, and we're so happy to be there. We all like, there's a tent already unfolded. We get our lawn chairs popped up, and then there's a hammock that we put up. And we put up our own lights, and we get the drinks out, and the water, and the ice, and the snacks. And we take this huge, big 2-liter bottle of water, and we put in an MDMA, and we each take a half pill of ecstasy. Doesn't really make sense, but that's what we did. And with this 2-liter bottle of water, we just passed it around throughout the night over the course of like an hour or two. Okay. I'm sure there was a point where I said to my friends, all right, you guys finish that. I'm going to walk around. That's most likely what happened. I can't quite remember. Thank God in this situation, it's a positive thing because everybody is sort of in the same boat. But
Hmm.
everybody knows the deal when you come to these festivals, you're going to have these sort of encounters. So it's, a silent contract. And
Definitely.
so, I got my film camera with me because I'm a hipster, I guess. And I'm walking around and I'm meeting people and I'm just bothering strangers. Hey, how are you? Where are you from? Cool. What do you do for work? Nice. Who are you here with? Tight. What are you doing here? Why do you come here? Oh, okay. Can I take your photo?
Just like a journalist on the ground. Okay.
So that's for me. Like, I want to give these people these photos I'm taking of them after the fact because this is the awesome thing to remember. Why not? Who doesn't love having a photo of them? So everybody I meet, I say, hey, give me your WhatsApp or hey, give me your Instagram or whatever, something like that, so that I can give them the photos after. Unknowing, oh, thank God I collected their phone numbers. You need it for one thing, to give them the photos, and then you unknowingly end up needing it for this other thing that you're gonna have to do that you had no idea you were gonna have to do. So I'm doing this all night, on and off. I take some photos, go back to dancing, put my camera away, pick it up, take some more photos, walk around, on and off until it was time to leave. And so about 5:30 in the morning, I'm walking through the camp area and I'm meeting people doing my thing. And my friend Ellie, she sends me a text and she says, I'm paraphrasing because I have no idea. It's so long ago. She says, hey, Shye, everybody went back to the camp. I'm here at the main stage. Let's head back together. So I go to the main stage and it's now like sunrise. And at these events, at these parties, not even festivals, just at these parties outdoors in Israel in the summer, the highlight of these events that are overnight is the sunrise. The best DJs play at that time. So that is
Hmm.
the peak. So a lot of people didn't show up until like 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m., 6:15
Hmm.
a.m. because they only come for these specific DJs. They don't want to stay overnight. They want to sleep, get, rested for this party in the morning. So a lot of people showed up at that time. And so 6 a.m., sunrise, I'm looking for my friend Ellie, and she is not a basketball player. She is not very tall. And I'm also not very tall. So I can't see over the crowd. And I don't have some sort of mystical foresight that allows me to spot my friends through objects. So I had to shout and I had to do one of these and look for my friend. And I'm like, screw this. And I took out my phone and I FaceTimed her. And I'm like, where are you? I'm by these speakers. And I show her the speakers over here behind me. I'm like, Karen, I'm by these speakers. Are you by these speakers? Where are you? I'm by this pole, you know, trying to find her. And then the music stops and everyone's looking around. One of the producers comes onto the stage and says, red alert, Seva Adom, Seva Adom. Red alert, Adom is red, Seva is not
Color.
red. Yeah, color. They say color red, but it's red alert, which is weird. Code red. And it's really bad because we're in the middle of nowhere. There is no shelters. There is no bunkers. There is no houses. There is no sheds. There's nothing. There's no boulders. We are in a patch of nothing with eucalyptus trees surrounding us and
But you don't even
cars.
speak Hebrew, so what do you
I don't even
think is
speak Hebrew,
happening?
but like I know enough Hebrew to know what I know terrorist. I know terrorist attack. I
Okay.
know rockets. I know red alert. I know all the danger words.
Yeah.
So you're saying Seva Adom, and there's
And
they're saying
obviously you can
this.
tell people's panic, so you're just following
Yeah,
it.
and then people start doing this, looking up to the sky. What's going on up at the sky? And I've been in Israel since April, so there have already been rockets at this point, and instances from April to May. There was a little tiff between Israel and Hamas, whatever. There was rockets, but rockets from Tel Aviv. It's like one or two rockets, maybe 3 to 5. That's a lot, and it's like from Gaza. So you have about a minute and 15 seconds to get to safety, which is a decent amount of time if you have two working legs. And, it's not a big deal. The rockets come, you go in your bunker, the Iron Dome strikes them out of the sky, and you finish your day. It's not like nothing you have to worry about. But this was not 5 rockets. This was like incessant rockets, hundreds. And then maybe like a 10 or 15-second pause in between volleys as they fired more. It was insane. There was rockets the whole day. It didn't stop. And we're next to Gaza, so we're not in Tel Aviv. We don't get a minute and 15 seconds to get to safety. And for us, safety is lay on the ground and do one of these.
So is that what you were doing? Did everyone just lie on the ground?
Lots of people, yeah. Many people were like, "Let's get the f out of here." Let's just get out of Dodge. Me and my friend Ellie. There's
You
there's
found
three
her.
modes. Yeah, I found her. Thank God, because the crowd started parted like Moses in the Dead Sea, and I'm like, there you are. And I grabbed her by the shoulders. I'm like, let's go. And I'm like, I have a bit longer legs, so I'm like dragging her along. And
Where
so
were you trying to go? What was your
to our friends, to our camp area, to join the others to figure out the
how
situation.
far was it from where you were?
Maybe like 20 meters, not far,
Okay.
20, 30 meters. And we walked through the crowd to our friends. But the whole time you hear people screaming and losing their shit and, you know, crying and ducking by trees and covering their heads because that's what you're supposed to do. And rockets over our heads, so many rockets, they start looking like they're turning into clouds.
Are you
And
panicking? Are you just are you
inside,
just like on survival mode?
I'm losing my shit on the inside. On the outside, I'm like
Just get to safety, like
holding
just
holding it in. And there's
yeah.
no alarms because we're in the middle of nowhere. The only alarm we have is like an app on our phone. Nothing else. And, we just hear this terrible sound coming from everybody's phones as people quickly rush to shut it down. It's like the Amber Alert sound, but it goes off every time there's a rocket detected. So you'll turn it off, and then another rocket is fired, and it will go again, and everyone's getting more anxious and wound up because of this sound won't shut the fuck up, and it makes everything worse. And then you have people who are just super Israeli who are still laughing and joking and smoking and singing. And they're like, you turned off the music, but I have my own speaker. Those people. And, they grew up in Israel. Many of them live in the South. And if you live in the South, this is not an abnormal thing for you. It's abnormal if you're in Tel Aviv. If you're in the South, that's pretty normal for you. And they're very used to this sort of thing, especially if they were in the IDF, if they did combat, so many levels of experience with this sort of thing in Israel affects the way you react to it and your tolerance and your level of desensitization. Yeah, I'm Canadian, so I'm not experienced at all. And I want to go home and get these drugs out of my system and sleep and eat
Are
and
you
finish my day.
feeling like you're on drugs at this point?
I stopped taking, the substances super early, just because I decided to walk away and do my own thing. And I don't really drink alcohol. I had one beer that I didn't finish the whole night. So I don't know if I'd say I was sober, but I was very close to sober, very close to it. And I think regardless of whether or not I was or was not sober, it doesn't have an effect on my danger sense. I don't know how to describe it. There are situations where it's like, okay, this is getting a little zesty, but I don't feel unsafe. And then there's situations where it's like, I feel unsafe, I'm just gonna leave. So it was getting there. For many Israelis, like my cousin, just sitting, smoking, drinking, let's take it easy. We'll wait for the traffic to clear up and then we'll go. People like that. And it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's just they're raised in this. They're used to it since day one. I get it. I was like, let's get out. I want to go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And eventually I wear my cousin down because it was him that organized this. So it's like he's like the de facto leader.
And he
And
drove.
he drove one of the two cars. Yeah. We came in 3 cars. We're leaving in 2 cars. So I tell him, let's go. We decide, okay, we'll go. We'll leave. He's agreeing. But we're going to take our time to pack up our shit. It's still going to take about 30, 40 minutes. So he tells me, we're still going to take 30 minutes. I'm like, fine, well, you take this time. I'm going to walk around, take some photos, see if people need help, come back. The time passes. I do the same thing I did earlier that night, minus the socialization, just like, hey, do you need a hand? Hey, can I take your photo?
Did
Bye.
people like think it was odd that you were asking to take their photo while rockets were barraging down on all of you?
People were smiling and laughing, happy to have their photo taken. Really normal, just rockets, it's crazy. It's nuts. And so I finished my film and I'm going back to my friends. And then I hear a sound in the distance like tuck, 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 tuck. And then I'm like, oh, that's weird. The fuck is that? There's firecrackers going off. I walk back to my friends and I hear it right before I get to my friends. I hear it again. Tuck, 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 tuck. Like, what is that sound? And I come to my friends and I tell my cousin, hey, I think I heard a machine gun. Now, living in Canada, we don't have machine guns, but I play Call of Duty and I watch movies, and I'm like, I have friends and family who are in the IDF, and I like to watch old war movies. So I know in the IDF, they're trained, are using their rifles, M16s, M4s, trained to fire semi-automatic, which means one round at a time, and like a rhythmic pattern. 1 1 2 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. They don't just fire click. That's a terrorist. Terrorists fire their guns like that because they don't know how to shoot. They just point and hold it till it goes click. So I tell my friends I heard gunfire. I think it sounds like a machine gun, and there's
How loud
no
was it?
super faint. If I wasn't like hyper, on my toes, I probably wouldn't have heard it. And not many people heard it. Some people said, yeah, I heard something, sounded like a gun, but I don't know. Other people, I'm like, no, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. It's a mix. We're like having this conversation of what it is, what it isn't, whatever. Our stuff is packed up. We're ready to go. We leave the festival area. We go to our parking lot to the car, and we're super close to where we parked, just by luck. The camp, maybe 40 meters, really close. We walk to our car. We leave in two cars. It's me, my cousin, his girlfriend, two mutual friends in one car. So it's 5 people in like a little toy Mitsubishi Lancer. It's not a real car. It's like a Hot Wheels car. And my other friends, Barak, Almog, and Doraz, the two who had arrived before us, and my friend who I drove there with, went in his truck. So the three of them in their truck and the 5 of us in this car. And I told my
So wait,
cousin,
you told your cousin you thought you heard gunfire, and then you casually walked to your cars
we
and
didn't casually walk. We were like, let's hustle. We were like,
okay, let's go.
we weren't
Mhm.
sprinting for our lives. We were like, let's move. We're worried. We're all upset here. And then we're standing next to our car, loading it up. I'm the designated driver because of our group of 8. 3 people didn't take acid. Me, Ellie, and Doraz. Ellie didn't want to drive. Doraz is driving the others. So I'm the designated driver. Thank God I didn't take acid. And then as we finish loading up our car, like literally they close the trunk, ready to get in, that's when Hamas shows up to the festival. Not from the side of the parking lot, but from the side of the festival itself towards the main stage. So we didn't see them because we had the fence, the trees, all the tents and the hammocks and the canopies and everything in the woods, and the stage and the other fence and a bunch of debris in between us and all the massacre that was taking place now. But you don't need to see people with Kalashnikovs to hear people with Kalashnikovs. We all look at each other like eyes wide, like, holy shit, something is going down. We say, let's get in the car. We yell at each other. My cousin climbs in the passenger seat. I climb in the driver's seat. Girls in the back. And then I'm just flying down this dirt path the way we came, 60, 70 kilometers an hour, hitting my brakes maybe like once every 3 seconds because somebody's running across the way we're driving, other
Are
cars
there lots
turning
of
in front of us.
cars trying to do the same thing right now?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. And it's like, you've left a sporting event, you've left a concert.
Yeah,
Same
everyone's
thing.
pouring out at the same
Same
time.
thing. Except now you might die. And I see all these cars. I'm like at the top of this little hill that we drove up to come. And it's like this dirt path that's not paved. It's just rocks and shit. And I'm at the top, and there's cars around us, and other people are like sitting and waiting and trying to assess the situation and driving down. And I see the exit, and I see all this traffic, all these cars trying to get out. And I looked at my cousin. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not waiting for these people. I'm not sitting here in this traffic waiting for them to decide to go. F that. And before my cousin even has like a second to respond, I'm like, screw it, sorry to your mother because this is her car, my aunt. I'm like, sorry to your mother, I'm going to ruin her car. And I just drive off the road around rocks and bushes and shrubs and whatever debris is there. I'm like, screw this. We'll get stuck, we'll run on foot, or we'll get around these people. One of the two things is going to happen. And so I drive all around every single car that's there. I push my way to the very front. We're now right in front of the road with like 2 cars in front of us and then the road. So I made my way past this whole traffic jam just because I'm impatient. Thank God. 2 cars ahead of us. One's red, one's white. Red car, people in it freaking out, losing their shit, moving. You can see people moving in a car. And then I'm like doing this. I'm like, the steering wheel because it makes me see better. My contacts are super dry at this point. And I look through their windshield at the white car ahead of them. No one's in the car. No lights are on. No movement. No honking. Nothing. Car's empty. And I'm like, fuck, we're stuck. And I tell my cousin, Mordecai, please get out. Knock on their window. Tell them the situation and to get the fuck out of here and to drive around because we're stuck behind their ass and they're waiting for a car with no one in it. I don't speak Hebrew, so I'm telling him to do this. Otherwise, I would do it.
Couldn't
He
you go around both cars, or there was
couldn't
no
move the
road?
car. Too tight. We were too close to them. If I had stopped maybe like a meter
Uh,
back, I could have done it. So he gets out, does what I asked. He gets back in the car. They drive off. We can leave. The main road, think of a line going across the screen left to right. The main road, we came from the north, from Tel Aviv. And that way, which is the way we wanted to go, was blocked by police. And they were telling people, no, don't go this way because there's Hamas and there's terrorists and there's people dying. They already know this. The police know that at least because they had to get past it to come here. So they said, no, don't go here. It's dangerous. Go this way. And they were directing people to go the other way, south, parallel to Gaza, towards Egypt, south, away from Tel Aviv, unfortunately, unknowingly, because they didn't know shit. Because all the people along the border whose jobs it was to keep us in the loop of what was going on, security-wise, were killed. So no one knew where the terrorists were, how many. So what happened was the police directed people to go south and sent them straight into Hamas, straight into terrorists, unknowingly. And then one of the second directions they gave was either go south or go into the fields, drive into the fields, or run into the fields. So I didn't know that second one was an option, but my cousin said, hey, drive into the fields. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Because in Canada, you go into a field, you're going to find a house or a barn or a shed or a road or something. So I'm like, that's a great idea. Good suggestion. And I drive us into these fields and we make it maybe 25 meters, 30 meters, whatever, hardly any distance. And then my cousin's girlfriend screams bloody murder like a banshee to get out of the car because we're being shot at. Not like us specifically, just wherever these terrorists are, they're just popping in the entire field, trying to get everybody, fish in a barrel type thing. And so we all flee this car in this dusty ass, barren, beige field and run. And then we duck in the middle of nothing, thinking, better to be out in this field away from each other than stuck in a metal coffin as we're fired at. And then we're all within like a meter of each other, me and Ellie and my cousin's girlfriend and her other friend, all within 1 meter, like arm's length of each other. We're all just ducking or like hugging whoever's closest to us. And then the four of us look back at the car and we see my cousin as he runs back to the car, gets in the driver's seat, comes back to us because he's like, even though I'm on acid, I know it's a bad idea to be on foot. Let's get back in the car. Gets us in the car. I asked to drive because I'm like, I know you're on acid. Do you want me to drive? He's like, no, fuck you, get in. I'm like, okay, let's go. I'll navigate you. So I have my phone in my lap with Waze, which isn't working because everybody's trying to use it at the same time. All of a sudden, the whole country is opening their mapping systems and stuff, and they're jamming, and it's a whole balagan. Waze doesn't work, but it still shows the country's map. You just don't see where you are. And then I have my cousin's phone in my hand, recording video. And then I have my camera in my other hand, taking photos because I'm like, shit, might die, but I'm a passenger in a car, so I can't do anything about it. Might as well take video and photo proof. At least if they shoot us, somebody will see. And we're driving through this field, and we stop at one point to try and get people in the car, and people don't listen to us, unfortunately. And we're driving through like these orange trees, and we drive navigating using the sun to direct us east away from Gaza, which is west of us. And we drive for about 45 minutes through fields, like not
What's
even roads.
east of you?
Just
what is east?
East is just away from Gaza. So we want to drive away from the terrorists. So east is further away. So we drive east 45 minutes, northeast through fields. We come onto a road illegally, driving the other way, but who cares? Laws are a suggestion now. And we drive from Netivot to Sderot and then to Tel Aviv. And
What are you seeing around you? Like, what is going
only
on?
after we leave these fields, because there's nothing to see in fields, fields, Only after we get onto this road by Netivot and make our way towards Sderot and then Tel Aviv do we start seeing the carnage of what has happened up until this point. We start seeing cars that are crashed, facing the right way, facing the wrong way, cars that don't look like they were crashed, just abandoned, and then 1, 2, 3 bodies as if they were shot from their backs running away. Like it's like I hate that I know it. Like you know if people were moving when they died based on how their body is laying down. It's nuts. And you're seeing, you're driving 170 kilometers an hour. You're seeing, cars that are riddled with bullets, people inside them and all the doors open and the belongings are on the ground like it was looted. You see people who have like military uniforms in the cars shot up. It's like out of a scene from Mad Max or, a Resident Evil movie or some other apocalypse movie. Cars that are whatever state you can imagine in the end of the world, that's what we saw. Really insane stuff that you can only experience through literature and movies and video games. Imaginary stuff. It's nuts. I get why people deny it. It's so nuts.
And when did you feel like safe?
Maybe like a week later. Didn't know if the rest of the Middle East was going to attack us. So we're driving from Netivot to Sderot, checkpoints every so often, just officers, heavily armed, just officers. Guns in our face each time.
And
We're
are the
losing our
roads
shit.
full at this point? You're like,
Oh, no, totally the opposite. Roads are like dead. Dead. Like the only cars you see on the roads have dead bodies in them. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 other cars who would come with us or who join us from other roads, but then they split off and go other way because no one knows where to go. People are just going everywhere. And we're driving through all these checkpoints, passing huge black pillars of smoke all around us. Houses being burnt with people in them still. Didn't know that. Thought it was just rockets that hit, trees or a gas station. No, it's people being burnt alive in their homes. And we come to a point where there's like several officers around, 3 here, 2 trucks here, another truck pulls up by us, 2 officers in the truck. And I look in the middle of the road, I'm filming, we're all like this in the seats, heads under the windows. And I see in the middle of the road, there's 2 officers who are very dead, laying in blood. And I tell my cousin, like, there's 2 dead officers, there's dead bodies here. And the officer who gets out of his car next to us, my cousin shouts at him and talks to him. And he tells us, like, it's not safe, it's dangerous, you have to turn the car around and go back that way and find another way. And my cousin starts losing his shit, cursing the guy out, demanding to let us through, probably threatening him. I don't know, I don't speak Hebrew. But I know the outcome of that yelling with my cousin ended in them letting us through and, like, saying, go fast, go right now. And my cousin, like, floors it, drives past these officers, past these 2 corpses on the ground. They told us that there are terrorists hiding in the shrubs, like meters away from us, hiding in the ditch, hiding in the shrubs. They're overgrown in the ditch. And they just killed some other officers and they're looking for them. And it's not safe for us. That's why he was telling us to leave. But like, drive past these 2 terrorists or drive towards, who knows how many terrorists. My cousin's like, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to try and get past these guys. So he yelled at them until they let us through. We drive past. And as we're driving past, we're down on Route 34 towards Sderot. And it's at this point we start seeing boom, 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 car, bodies, bodies, bodies. And it's like people our age now. It's not like this isn't a soldier or an officer who's dead. This is like, oh, this is some lady in her short shorts and her family. And their belongings all over the ground. And then we come across this one silver car with all the doors open, and there's 2 figures standing next to the car. And they're dressed like I often dress, in a black t-shirt and cargo pants. Except they're also wearing black balaclavas over their heads and wearing a tactical vest. The other does not, holding machine guns. And we can see in the car next to them has 2 dead bodies, or surrounded by dead bodies, and there's 2 in the car next to them. And they point their guns at us, one of them. The other does not, because he's not looking at us. His back is to us. And we lose our shit. We're screaming at my cousin to drive, to not slow down any further. And nothing happens. They don't shoot us. They don't yell at us. They don't throw grenades at us. They don't run in front of our car. Nothing. And we get back to Tel Aviv at 9:47 in the morning, really early. We were probably some of the first people to be home. Really lucky, crazy lucky. We had to find our other friends who were with us in another car. We were all calling them and texting them and blowing them up for like 10 hours. Nobody knew anything. I think in the middle of the night, like maybe 7, 8, 9 p.m., maybe 10 p.m., we get a call from, I think it was the cousin or brother of Dor. He says, they're alive, they're okay. They hid in the woods in a bush for like 7 hours while terrorists massacred people around them, but they survived. Thank God. And so, okay, all my friends are alive. Wow. What now? Shit. I have to find out if all these people I just met at the festival are alive. I don't know them. They're not my friends, but I like spent this time connecting to them even for 10 minutes. I have to do this. So I got my film developed the next day. I think it was a Monday or a Sunday. And I spent the next few months trying to find people. You know, anybody whose number I had, I could just text. Anybody whose Instagram I had, I could just message. Anybody who I didn't have, I just posted on Facebook until I found them. And that took until December, not too long. And of the 54 people I met and took photos of, took portraits of, 54 of them, 52 survived. And the two that were murdered were 26 and 48 years old at the time. And one was Dor Avitan from Eilat, and the other was Ran Schaefer, who was 48 from Be'eri. They were murdered by Hamas in the music festival. Dor, with his other friend, Dor, they were both working together at a booth selling clothing and jewelry from Southeast Asia. And then Ren was just at the festival hanging out in his kanta, which was right next to ours. So we were shooting the shit with him until we left. So they were murdered by Hamas on in the festival. Ren was, if he wasn't in the festival, his family would have gone back home to where they live in Be'eri and wouldn't have survived. And that is a nuts coincidence. So after we got home, everybody was doing terrible. My cousin and his girlfriend were like in such a bad state they had to take a sleeping pill to just get to just turn off for 6 hours. And the rest of us sat in the living room and tried to find what happened to our three friends. And then we found they were alive. They hid in the bush in the woods for like 7 hours while Hamas murdered people around them.
So
And
you
then,
all went back to your cousin's apartment immediately after, and you all kind
yeah,
of stayed together
we
there.
just stayed there for like a day or two.
Was everyone getting in touch with their families and
We had like 50 people come to the apartment. Everyone's parents, our grandparents, our friends, our mutual friends, our friends' parents, like everybody was with us.
why do you think you all stayed together afterwards?
I think nobody just wanted to be alone. Like, why? And it's also like, okay, stuff might get worse. Better stick together. So we found all our friends were alive, and then over the course of October, November, December, I took the time to find out what had happened to everybody who I had made friends with in the Nova. So of all the people I met, most of them survived, all but two. 52 of them survived, two of them did not.
How did you actually find that out? Like, what did it entail to backtrack like that?
Um, I think somebody told me about one of them, and then the other I found just through social media. I think seeing his name and those killed. I can't quite
But all
remember.
54, I mean, the process of trying to,
Most of it was just sending WhatsApp messages to the people whose numbers I had, which was majority. And you know, if it's a group of 9, I didn't get everybody's number. I got one person in the group, and then they told me. And then there's people, you know, who I haven't spoken to, but I know they're alive, so it doesn't matter. So October 8th, I start talking about it. I start doing news media. I figured, well, I'm probably the only one who speaks English natively, who is mentally there enough to talk about it. So I started doing interviews every day for all of October until November, like up to 6 times a day. CBC, BBC, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, BBS,
How were you
XQZ.
getting in touch with the media?
It was a
Um,
combination of me reaching out to them reaching out to me, and people who were acted as volunteers connecting survivors to media to give their testimony.
and what kind of questions were you being asked?
Just the usual. How do you feel? What did you see? Are your friends alive? Do you know anyone who's a hostage? I have the same recipe.
Did you, like, have time to process it all? Like,
I think doing all that was the processing for sure. All of this,
mhm. So
100%.
tell me, I mean, I know that you've been doing, so many of these talks since we're, months and months later. Tell me a little bit about what the past little while has been for you.
Hundreds of flights, 200 cities across North America, tens of thousands of people, millions of people. It's crazy. Um, Mostly universities, synagogues.
And do you share the story the same way that you've told it to me
It
today?
depends on the audience. Like if I'm in a conservative synagogue, I'm not going to tell it the same way as if I was in UCLA or if I was at a fundraising event.
I wonder when you think about your own experience and your own processing, just to go into that a little bit more, do you think sharing your story helps you? Do you think it hurts? Like it must be very
I think it
hard to
totally
relive
helps. I
this.
think definitely it helps. Also, I'm just emotionally numb to it just from the exposure I've had. Like I visited the Nova site December 23rd, 2 months later. So there was no bodies, but everything else was there. And like you could see where people died. Like you could see trees with bloody handprints. You could see where the dirt is like dust, it's dust, and then all of a sudden in one area it's all clumped together, you know? You could only assume what made it like that. It was crazy, you know? I walked by the ambulance that was like cut in half from an RPG. 15 people were burnt alive in there. It's nuts. It's not like a war. You know, it's not like combat in Gaza where terrorists and soldiers are fighting and there's explosions everywhere. This is a bunch of 20 somethings in the middle of the night, early morning, attacked by grown men with Kalashnikovs and truck mounted machine guns. That's nuts. Like, it's not even like it was just Israelis. It was like people from all over the world. It was a Brazilian production company. They're not Israeli, they're Brazilian. They just, it was just a job for them.
And when you heard that hostages were taken, like that that could have been you, you know? You were there.
I don't think we'll ever understand like the size or not even size, like that's fucking crazy. Like from the Nova, there was 411 murdered out of 4,000 attendees and 55 kidnapped. So that's 411 murdered and 55 kidnapped. That's a lot. And it's like the people who were kidnapped from places like along the side of the road, a road that we drove along. You know, maybe we stopped our car and got in the bunker or stopped to help people or something. I don't know. There's so many what ifs that could have led to us being part of that 55 or them not being kidnapped, you know? Like I have a friend who was in the same Megunit as Hirsch, and he left like 10 minutes before Hamas showed up because he just had a bad feeling.
It feels like so up to chance, all of these
It's a coin
like
toss. It's a
the
flip. It's just luck. I don't think it's anything like I'm a Jew. My last name is Weinstein. My mom is Israeli. My grandparents are Israeli. And I grew up in like the public system in North America, you know, in Canada, with no other Jews around. So I don't really have any sort of godly relationship For me, Judaism is just like, I don't have a choice. It's stuck on me. My mom's a Jew. That's how it is. I'm an atheist Jew. I guess you could say that. So when people ask, like, well, how'd you survive? Oh, Hashem was looking out for you. It's like, fuck no. Me and my cousins saved our asses.
Hmm.
Wasn't
And
anything
what are
else.
you hoping to accomplish with all the speaking that you're doing?
I just want to expose as many people as possible to the reality of what we faced in like a very unbiased manner. I talk about, every little detail and some individuals who I didn't really know, but I knew of. Like there was a bus driver who was working that day. He drove my friend there, and he's a Palestinian, 21 years old, and Hamas killed him. Another Muslim, spoke Arabic, from East Jerusalem, Palestinian, 21, didn't care, still killed him. So, talking about people like him, but, you don't see any news media talking about him or the other Arab Israelis who were killed on October 7th because, like, doesn't fit the narrative.
Just from the conversation that we've had, it hasn't skewed anything political or it's simply your experience. It's like you went to a music festival and this
I'm
happened
not
to
telling
you.
people, oh, you should hate the Palestinians. I'm not telling people, oh, you should love the Israeli government because they're totally the best. Hell no. Absolutely not.
You're
Definitely not.
just
Just like
archiving a part of history that you
I'm
witnessed.
just, here's this information.
Yeah. What does it feel like knowing that there are people out there who think it was fabricated, made up?
They're nuts. They're with the flat earthers, in my opinion. Good for them. I wish I could be
Oh.
so ignorant. And I'm sure they
And
experience a lot less stress.
and tell me more about the photos. Like you have all these photos of 52 survivors, 50 two murdered, of people who were at the festival as chaos was
Yeah,
ensuing.
most of the photos are during the daytime, so like the attack's already begun. You see photos of people smiling and laughing, and the juxtaposition is that 30 kilometers or not even 10 kilometers in another direction, people are being brutally murdered. Death is on its way, and no one knows. It's surreal. These are photos that will be, you know, known forever. People will have to look back at it and be like, this is what happened. The same way
Well,
we
you
look back at
captured such an
photos from
interesting
the
moment in
Holocaust.
time, right? But what's different here is like blissful ignorance that you just didn't know what was about to happen. It was
Yeah.
really moments before.
I don't know if I'd
So
say
you're
ignorance. It's
capturing
just like the unknowing.
the unknown. Yeah, you're capturing just joy in the moment. And what followed was so tragic.
It's foreshadowing.
Yeah. What do you hope to do with those photos?
Besides show people nothing. That's about it.
Yeah.
Just make sure as many people can see them as possible. There's a lot of media out there, and when it talks about the subject matter, it almost exclusively talks about specifically the details of what horrible events went on. And so, even though the subject is something that's horrible, I'm trying not to add to that. I don't know a better way to say it. You can talk about horrible things without making people all depressed when you're done talking about it. That's what I'm trying to do.
And how have you been since? Like you're still living in Israel. I don't think you're on your cousin's couch anymore.
Surfing. I'm traveling a lot back and forth to North America to different communities in Israel and the US and Canada. So it's mostly sublets, depending on the amount of time in between my trips. Like I arrived here in July and I'm going back in October. I fly back to the US on the 9th of October, Connecticut, New York City, and then Tel Aviv.
At the beginning of the interview, you talked about how when you just moved to Israel, there were for the first few months of parties and music festival and events and getting to know the vibe. And obviously now things are different. Can you talk a little bit about that kind of stark juxtaposition that you're experiencing now?
It's totally different. It's very different. The overall energy in the city is different. You can feel people are a bit more on edge, especially at parties. Especially at parties if the music stops by accident. Nobody's happy about that. A lot of things just aren't the same, and it's not just because of October 7th. It's because of the government. It's because so much of the population has been serving in the military for almost 2 years now, actively. It's like exhausting, and that exhaustion seeps out into every aspect of society. You don't
Yeah.
have to be in the military to feel that exhaustion just in passing from the people you sit with or from the conversations that are had. You walk down the street and you hear conversations about the war, about the hostages, about dead friends, whatever. And like, it's always present 24/7 in your life in Israel. And anybody who wants to heal or mend or recover or take a break or anything from that sort of environment, it can't take place in Israel because it's not possible. Because your brain knows you're in that environment and it's present around you, even if you're in the most peaceful, beautiful part of the country.
Hmm.
It's really challenging.
Yeah. And I mean, since has it changed your thoughts on uh staying in Israel, living there, potentially
No,
like
no,
building a
no. My
home there?
grandparents are still alive,
So
so I'm
the
still
mission
gonna stay in
remains the
Israel.
same.
They're gonna hate me saying that. They're still
Yeah.
alive, so I still stay in Israel. And my cousin has a kid now, so now I have another reason.
Well, Shye, thank you so much for sharing this story with me. To anyone listening, what do you want them to take away?
Try and not second guess yourself. I find a lot of the times now, mostly now, not before, the first thought I have in regards to a situation, it's often the right thought, and then I go into second guessing myself, and I feel like a lot of people are the same. So just don't second guess yourself. Just do the thing. Just do the first thing you think of. Commit. Do it.
Are you
Take the risk.
referring to like when you took the car off the road, not waiting in line? Like what makes you, why is that the lesson?
Because you might die tomorrow. You might die very suddenly, and you have no say in the matter.
Well, Shye, it's an honor to have you here and to listen
I feel
to your
bad saying that with a
story.
smile on my face, but like it's not voluntary.
It's
Right.
the dark
Take a
humor.
risk.
We can't help
Drive
it. It's
that
how
30.
we cope. Yeah. Well, Shye, really, thank you for sharing this with me, and any support that you may need. You have the Jewish communities across the world
I
and
need a
allies
small loan
across
of
the world.
$1 million, please.
Any emotional support that you need.
No, I'm covered on that end.
Okay. You know where to find it. Thank you, Shye. Really appreciate your time.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and please share this one with your community. It's the least we can do.